Alright, hi everyone, welcome back to the channel. Today, just having a little walk. I'm going to have a talk about one of the things that these mountains are most famous for, and the reason that I'm here, martial arts, Chinese Kung Fu. So the Wudang Mountains have been famous for martial arts for a long time. In Chinese martial arts, collectively the word Kung Fu is usually used for them. There are two main families, those being the external style and the internal style of martial arts. The external styles are more associated with places like Shaolin, which have a very deep connection with Chan Buddhism, Zen Buddhism, and here at Wudang, which are called the internal martial arts, which have a much deeper connection with Taoist philosophy. So although both styles, or both families I should say, internal and external, both, they both train both the physical and the spiritual side of the individual. There's more focus here upon internal cultivation, Qi cultivation, whereas in something like Shaolin there's a lot more focus upon, being tough and strong. Now there is some debate over the exact origins of Taiji Chuan, Tai Chi, which is part of the internal family of martial arts. Now, there are different family styles of Tai Chi. The most famously and the oldest of the family styles is Chen family Tai Chi, which is actually something that I learned a little bit of some years ago. And I think as far as they're concerned, they invented it, their family. Here, however, at Wudang, there is no question in people's minds that internal martial arts and Tai Chi originated here with a very famous, almost legendary Taoist from the 12th century called Jiang Sanfang. Now, Jiang Sanfang has been kind of immortalized in so many Chinese movies, TV shows, comic books, kind of a household name, like a folk hero, a Robin Hood kind of character. And a lot of the stuff about his life is, legend, lost in legend. By all accounts, he lived over 300 years and achieved immortality in another story. But he was apparently a very well-read individual who studied Taoism and Confucianism and eventually just came here to Wudang Mountains to live his life and live as a hermit. And it was during this time, while he was in Wudang, that he observed a very famous story. He observed a bird attacking a snake, and the snake's patience and movements slow before a fast strike are what made him invent Tai Chi, Taiji Chuan. Cool story. I do like old Kung Fu stories. Anyway, so he basically is regarded as the founder of Taiji Chuan, and he lived through to the Ming Dynasty. No one's really sure when he was born, that's the real question, and was very much sought after even by emperors who wanted to come and meet him, but he was very reclusive, hiding out in a cave somewhere in these mountains, as some people still do today. So his lineage, the San Feng Lineage, still exists today, and the 15th generation of the San Feng sect of Wudang martial arts is still held by a few people, one of which is Master Chen Shiyu, whose school I'm staying at, which is pretty special. Now there are other lines of internal martial arts on Wudang, such as I think there's a school called the Longmen School and something else, Xuanwu School I think. There are others as well, but I think the Sanfeng line, or the Sanfeng lineage, is believed to be the oldest, the most traditional, and the one that is more focused upon how it is connected with Taoist philosophy and books such as the Tao Te Ching. So as I'm sure you all know, Tai Chi, or Taiji Chuan as it's called in Chinese, is studied all over the world today, all over the place, in many different forms. Some are much more traditional, Sometimes it's a bit more for, I don't know, just for health or for stretching and movement, which is also, you know, valuable stuff. Here it's taught in Wudang, you know, it's still taught as a martial art, but with a lot of health benefits. I mean, there's still this focus upon, it's about graceful, slow movement and occasionally explosive power. And it does have a lot of health benefits, such as, you know, obviously it increases things like strength and flexibility, but also it's good for circulation and a number of other things. But also it does still have that martial aspect, which some, you know, around the world and in some places, even in China, some of that has been lost, I think, and people are just focused upon the movements and the breathing. Valuable, but for me personally, while I've been learning it, I find that, you know, learning something of the martial aspects or the application of the movements, to be honest, it does help. It helps kind of visualize exactly what you're doing. So while I've been here, I've been learning a Taiji form called Taiji Shisan, Taiji 13, and it's believed that it was the original Taiji form invented by Jiang Sanfang. I don't know if that's true, but I'd certainly like to believe it is true because I think that's cool. It's a good form. It's I've actually got all the way through the end of it now. Now it just requires, you know, decades of practice. But it's good. It's there's a lot of kind of interesting stuff in it, and I've enjoyed learning it a lot. It's there's a lot of like legwork in Tai Chi, so it's when you first start doing it or you come back to it like I have, you know, it's actually physically quite demanding, which which I think a lot of people don't really associate Tai Chi with. But I think people who don't believe that Tai Chi is physically demanding are just people who've never done it before, because it is. Of course it is. There's a lot of difficulty in actually, because it's all controlled movement, very, very slow controlled movement. And in some ways that is a lot more difficult than jumping around, in my opinion anyway. But I think the thing that Wudang is probably most famous for, if you in your Kung Fu circles and you read about these things, is its sword. Wudang Sword is unbelievably famous and has spawned thousands of old Kung Fu movies, which, you know, when I was a kid, that's what I used to watch. It's one of the reasons I started to get interested in China, which is kind of bizarre. But yeah, Wudang Sword is incredibly famous. And to be honest, although this time while I'm here, I am very much focused upon my own Taiji 13 form, I do feel like if I came back again in the future, I would have to learn a bit of sword. So I think the school that I'm in, there are a few different schools, mainly in the town at the bottom of the mountain and a couple of others on the mountain. And I think yeah, they're all different. Maybe, well, what I've heard is that some of the schools, particularly at the bottom of the mountain, are a little bit more regimented, strict, a bit more harder on training, I think, which kind of makes sense. And up here in the mountain, it's much more laid back. I like that. You know, I wasn't sure when I came, you know. Part of me wanted to just come here and just like thrash myself to oblivion and get really fit. But actually being here, like up actually in the mountains, walking around paths that, to be honest, people who visit Wudangshan would never have the opportunity to, to be honest, I think that's much better for me. We still train for, you know, about 5 hours a day, but there's so much free time and I've loved it. To be honest, I've loved every second of it. Would I recommend it? I would, to some people. You know, I don't think it is for everybody. I think that, well, I'm not sure really. Some people, it depends on what you like in your life. I mean, it's, you know, it's very quiet. There's a lot of time, I guess, to yourself, and it's peaceful. But it's tough, I think, in the winter. You know, like I came in the coldest month, and I was pre-warned by the lady who kind of runs the show here that it's cold and the water pipes will freeze and all this kind of stuff. It didn't really deter me in any way. I think my mind was very much made up on wanting to come. But I think it, you know, it hasn't bothered me in any way. Nothing has. I mean, even the cold and the several days without a shower, it was all just part of the adventure, I think. But I think it depends on your character. It depends on what you're looking for. I think if you did come to Wudang and you were looking for to study, like train hard, like to really thrash yourself and probably learn a lot, maybe some of the other schools might be more appropriate for you, I suppose. But if you want to just enjoy the peace and countryside of what are these beautiful mountains in a wonderful place with great people, I'd recommend this place, definitely. Alright guys, I'm going to call it a day there. I will see you again soon. All the best, and any questions, pop them in the comments. As always, I will get back to you as soon as I can. Take care. Bye bye.